Hello everyone, and welcome to the gases unit. If you look at page 1 of your notes, like always, you want to read through the essential knowledge that accompanies the gas unit. At the bottom, you want to read through the learning objectives. That's very important to what the College Board has told you that you need to know. And then if we go to page 2, you see at the very top where it says gases unit, it gives you this little piece of information that we see right here. That 1 atmosphere equals 760 millimeters of mercury equals 760 torr equals 101.3 kPa, and you have seen that on your Regents reference table. And finally, 14.7 psi. So these are all conversion units that are equal to each other. You should also be aware of the fact that there are conversion units on your AP Chemistry reference table. Specifically, they tell you that 1 atmosphere is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury, which is also equal to 760 torr, just like we see up here. So as we go through these conversions in a moment, know that there are gas conversions on your reference table to refer to. So if you look in your notes at the very top of page 2, it goes through the definition of pressure. It talks about the use of a barometer. And then finally, at the bottom, after you read through that section in your notes, it talks about different problems. So what I thought we'd start out with today is just converting from one unit of pressure to another. So in this first example, we have 745 millimeters of mercury, and I want to change it into PSI. So the first thing that I want to do is write my given, 745 millimeters of mercury, multiplication sign and a line. And as per usual, whatever I start with is going to go on the bottom, millimeters of mercury, and PSI is going to go on top. So then I go to my different units of pressure, and I can see that 760 millimeters of mercury is equal to 14.7 psi. 14.7 psi. Then I want to make sure that my units cancel. Millimeters of mercury cancels millimeters of mercury. And when I multiply 745 times 14.7, I get 14.4 psi. Always taking into account how many original significant figures that I had. So I started with 3, I should end with 3. Let's look at the next one. 727 millimeters of mercury converted into kilopascals. 760 millimeters of mercury is equal to 101.3 kPa. And if we cancel our units, millimeters of mercury cancels millimeters of mercury, and I work this out for an answer, I should get 96.9 kilopascals. kPa. Let's look at another one. 52.5 kilopascals into atmospheres. So we're going to write our given first. 52.5 kPa. I know that looking at my units of pressure up at the top, 101.3 kPa is equal to 1 atmosphere. Cancel my units. Multiply this out. So 52.5 times 1 divided by 101.3 kPa should give me 0.518 atmospheres as my final answer. Again, matching significant figures. Second to last one, 0.729 atmospheres. I want to convert that into millimeters of mercury, so I know that 1 atmosphere is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. So whatever I start with goes on the bottom, 1 atmosphere. On top, I want millimeters of mercury, so 760 millimeters of mercury. Atmospheres cancel atmospheres, and if I work this out, 0.729 times 760 divided by 1 is going to give me 554 millimeters of mercury as my final answer to 3 significant figures. And the final one, 522 torr into kPa. So 522 torr, 2 R's, multiplication sign and line, torr on the bottom, 101.3 kPa. And for torr, 760 torr. And don't shortcut here. Make sure that you label and then your units cancel down and to the right. So when we work this out, 522 times 101.3 divided by 760 will give me 69.6 kilopascals. Always important to label, always important to cancel your units. So this is a little overview of how to do conversions from one unit of pressure to another unit of pressure.